Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Firstly, wishing you all a very happy new year. For those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Anusha. I'm a junior doctor working here in London in the NHS. I'm currently doing my co-training in the specialty psychiatry. I'm going to apologize well in advance if my voice sounds weird. I have just recovered from COVID and I'm still finding my way around, getting back to routine and everything. Apologies for my voice sounding weird and if I take a break in between to cough or sneeze. But yeah, other than that, I'm doing great and I hope you had a lovely end to 2021, unlike mine. In the spirit of holiday season and the fact that we've all just gone through a bunch of holidays, I thought in today's video, which is the first video of 2022, I'm going to talk about all the leaves that you're entitled to as a junior doctor here in the UK. As important as it is to work about your work life and everything surrounding that, I believe it's equally important to have off days and downtime. A couple of months back, I spoke about how, one of the reasons I moved to the UK is having a good work-life balance. Also talking about, we get a good chunk of leaves that we are entitled to. And I received a lot of flack related to that on social media, but at the same time, a lot of support from basically the doctor community. The people who were obviously giving me flack do not come from the background of being doctors or haven't worked as a junior doctor or as a doctor in any capacity in India. So I absolutely adore hearing people's thoughts and their genuine and honest feelings about how, they're looked down upon back in my home country in India if they talk about desiring leaves or if they talk about wanting downtime or having a vacation. That is not the very best environment to be in for anyone, and we all are human beings, whether it's the beginning of the day or the end of the day. So if it's okay for an engineer or a lawyer to talk about having some downtime, then it should be okay for a doctor to be having some downtime as well. In the spirit of that, I thought, I should be talking about these things more out in the open. People back home should not be giving flack to doctors for desiring some downtime or saying that, oh, I moved countries because I want to have a good work-life balance or I want to have vacations or I want to have breaks. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about all the leaves that you can apply for or you're entitled to when you're working here in the NHS. Alright, so the number one leave almost all workers are entitled to here working in the UK is something called the annual leave, which is basically your paid holiday per year. As you grow in the NHS, basically as you progress in your career, the number of annual leaves does increase, but as a junior doctor, you're entitled to 27 paid annual leave days in the year. This is excluding all the bank holidays and basically the national holidays and all other sorts of leaves that I'm going to talk about. These are strictly your paid holidays per year, which is basically 27 annual leave days. Basically, the way it gets divided is that you cannot be taking all the 27 days in one go because it gets divided between your rotations. So say if you're doing 2 rotations per year like I am, so divided in between 6 months. So every 6 months I can take 13 and a half annual leave days, and the next rotation I can take 13 and a half annual leave days. And if you're someone who's doing 4 different rotations, so that would be divided between 3 months. Or if you're somebody who's doing 3 rotations per year, so then that would be divided like say 9 days of chunk per rotation is how your annual leave would be divided. A lot of you guys who are watching this video are obviously international medical graduates, and one thing you would ask is that, 13 and a half days is not enough. How do I manage that if I want to go home or like say 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks? The way I would recommend you do is that, say if you've got on calls and then followed by off days post your on calls, so you can club your annual leaves with that, so it gives you a longer duration. Like I went home last year, can't believe 2021 is last year already. So I went home in August and I went home for good 3 weeks away. That we can club your days, or if you've got some bank holidays coming up, you can club your annual leave around that and increase your number of, leave to go back home and come back. A lot of you guys again asked me, can I go home for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? How many days leave can I take? Again, it depends on the number of annual leaves you have, or if you have any 0 days or any bank holidays around that. So if you club that all in, another thing you need to be aware of is that you shouldn't be on call during those days. So you can't apply for an annual leave while you're on call. And if you are on call and you want to take an annual leave during that, then you should be able to swap it out. So basically swap it out with someone else. Someone else would do your on call then and you would do their on call or something like that. So you basically need to work that out well in advance, and you would be applying for annual leave quite well in advance, like say weeks or months before. It's not that you apply for your annual leave a day before. That's not how it works, unless obviously you don't have anything happening, and you can like have a conversation with your team or your consultant, and if they allow you, then you can take your annual leave next day. But usually people save their annual leaves to take, holidays or breaks, and this is something they plan well in advance. You would anyway be applying well in advance if you are planning to go back to your home country. A lot of you guys ask me if you can be taking annual leaves in chunk, basically taking two weeks off, 3 weeks off to go visit your home country. So the answer is yes. It's just that you need to plan it well in advance. So number 2 leaves that you're entitled to are called bank holidays, basically something like national holidays back in our home country. I'm going to list down all the bank holidays here. The way my rotations get divided is into 2 parts. So basically I have 2 rotations per year, and the bank holidays get divided in a similar way. So there are 4 bank holidays in my one rotation and 4 bank holidays in another rotation. So these are barring your annual leaves, which are 27 days. So you have your bank holidays, which are basically 8 bank holidays in a year if you're living in England, basically if you're working in England. Other countries, basically Scotland, Wales and Ireland, have different bank holiday numbers. But yeah, so in England you have total of 8 bank holidays, and if a bank holiday falls say on a Saturday or a Sunday, which anyway would have been an off, you get a compensatory day off on Monday or Tuesdays. Like last year, Christmas Day and Boxing Day fell on a Saturday Sunday. Saturday Sunday was off for everyone anyway, and in return everybody also got their Monday Tuesday off as well. So yeah, so regardless of what, you get a bank holiday off, which would be a weekday and not a weekend. And if it falls on a weekend, then the next weekday is when it's a national holiday or a bank holiday. And say if you're working on a bank holiday, like if you were doing an on-call, then you would get a day in lieu. The way it works is that you would do your on-call, but you get an extra annual leave added to your that rotation because you worked that bank holiday, or you will be working the bank holiday in that rotation. So number 3 leaves that you're entitled to are something called the post on-call days off, or 0 days. If you've done an on-call, the way it works in my trust is that we have either on-calls on weekdays or on weekends. So if I do weekday nights, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, then I would get Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Or if I do weekend nights, which would be Friday night, Saturday night and Sunday night, then I would get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. Those are post on-call off days. What I do is I usually club annual leaves around then. So if I would have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off post a weekend on-call, I take Thursday, Friday off. So it makes an entire week off, and I've basically only used 2 annual leaves, and I've gotten like a bunch of like 7 days off together. So that's something I recommend you do if you're planning to take a long holiday. And yeah, so these are 0 days. These are barring your annual leave days. So if you've done an on-call, you get post on-call off. Or if you've done a weekend shift where you worked Saturday and Sunday, which are the day shifts, then you get the Monday off. And mind you, you do not work more than 12 hours at a stretch. So when I'm saying you're doing a night shift, you're only working nights. So you're only working on Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and you get the whole of Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. You don't work more than 12 hours at a stretch. That's just the European guidelines we follow over here. So it's not that if you're doing Monday, you're doing the whole of Tuesday as well. You go back home to rest in the day, and then you come back for your night shift again. So the 4th type of leave that you're entitled to is called study leave. Every trainee is entitled to a number of study leaves per year. As a trainee, you're actually given around 30 days of study leave in a year, but a lot of those days get allocated to the compulsory training academic program. In spite of that, if you're say giving Royal College exams, or you've got conferences, or you've got teachings or trainings to attend, you can be applying for study leave to your medical education department. And once obviously they sanction that, you can take the leave. In my trust, for your Royal College exams, we are allowed to take 5 days of study leave, excluding the day of the exam. So that doesn't count in it. Usually people take a week off before the exam for study leave, and they prepare for these exams. You're also allocated a study budget. The way it works is that if you take any courses, or if you apply for any conferences, you can pay for it and then keep the receipt, and then you apply for reimbursement, and then it gets reimbursed back to your account the next month along with the salary. But mind you, the Royal College exams fees, which is so expensive, they are not reimbursable. So the trust doesn't pay for your Royal College exam fees. That's something you pay out of your pocket, which is like a lot of money. But any other courses or any other, like study materials and all that you buy for preparing for Royal College exams, all of that gets reimbursed back to your account by the medical education department. So that comes out of your study budget. So each trainee is allocated a study budget. I think because of the pandemic, at least in psychiatry, they've removed a cap on the study budget. So there is no specific number on it now. Not that I've attended a lot of courses or conferences and claimed that back. But yeah, so that's something that's happened because of the pandemic. Even a non-trainee, when you join, clear this out with your HR. How many days of study leave are you allowed to take, and what is your study budget? Because a a lot of the courses like say the ALS, BLS, all of that can be covered in your study budget when you join as a non-trainee, and that can get reimbursed back to your account. So when I joined in Southend, one of the first things I did was the ALS course by the UK Resuscitation Council, and that money did get reimbursed back to my account because it came out of my study budget. So make sure you have these conversations when you join the trust. So the fifth type of leave is sick leave. Basically, as self-explanatory as it is, if you fall ill or if you have any injury, then you can apply for sick leave. So you inform your team, your consultant, and the rota coordinator and the HR if you fall sick or if you have any injury or accidents, obviously, so you get to take sick leave. On your return back to joining, you have to fill a form along with your clinical supervisor, who's your consultant, basically that you're fit to return to work. So yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. You are allowed to take sick leave. Those are paid leaves and they don't come out of your annual leaves. So sixth type of leave is compassionate leave. This is for bereavement or any kind of serious loss or injury that's happened to you or in your family. This again can be paid or unpaid days off, and you have this discussion between you and your employer. Obviously, this is again an emergency sort of leave. I did have to take compassionate leave 2.5 years back when my dad was unwell and I had to, on an emergency, fly back to India within like 12 hours. So yeah, so you are allowed to take compassionate leave. So these are again leaves that do not eat into your annual leaves. This again, it depends from company to company, employer to employer. This is again a discussion between you and your employer. All right, the seventh type of leave is carer's leave. This is something I wasn't actually aware of until a few weeks back. Again, you need to give a notice along the lines of like how you would give notice of taking annual leave, that you need to take care of someone. Basically, you're looking after or meeting their caring needs. When Dean got COVID at the end of December, he got it before me. I was still continuing work because I was testing negative and I was completely fine. So I was working from home, but obviously it was quite overwhelming because I had to do my work and look after him and look after the needs at home. So I was having this discussion with my consultant and she said that I'm entitled to taking 5 days of carer's leave in a year. So if it becomes really overwhelming, then I can apply for carer's leave. All that I would need to do is write a formal letter to her and CC in the HR requesting carer's leave, but it didn't come to that because I ended up falling sick and I ended up getting COVID from him. But yeah, so that's something again you can have a discussion between you and your clinical supervisor and the HR, that how many days of carer's leave are you entitled to, and obviously you'll have to formally request this leave. It's just not something you can take it when and if you please. So the next leave is called jury's leave. You are given official time off if you're requested to be serving on a jury. So yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you have to present yourself in a court of law, then yeah, you can request for jury leave. All right, so the ninth one is maternity leave. Regardless of how long you've been working in the NHS, you're entitled to 1 year of maternity leave. It's illegal for your employer to be firing you during this period. So yeah, so all women are entitled to 1 year long of maternity leave. Depending on the duration you've been working, you're also eligible for maternity pay. I'll leave down details of that in my description box so you can go and read it, because a lot of you have been asking that if I've just joined NHS, will I be allowed to take maternity leave? Yes, you will be allowed to take maternity leave, but if you've just joined, there might be a difference in the maternity pay of how long they would be paying during that 1 year. But yeah, you're entitled to the 1 year off, but the pay might vary. So I think there's a number of days you need to be working for you to get the entire 1 year of maternity pay. But I'll leave all the details down in my description box so you can go and check it out. Right after maternity leave comes paternity leave. All right, so the fathers are entitled to be taking 2 weeks off in paternity leaves. That's something also called as maternity support leave. This also applies for same-sex partners and also for nominated carers for single mothers. So the next one is less than full-time training. What it means is that you can be doing your training part-time. Say for example, if your training period is for 3 years, like co-training in psychiatry, so you can apply for less than full-time training for various reasons. Basically, if you have to look after children at home, or you're looking after elderly in the family, or just to have work-life balance, so you can opt in for doing your training part-time, which is less than full-time, and the least you can go up to is 50%. And the way it works is that, say if your training period was for 3 years, like in co-training psychiatry, if you're doing 50% training, then it'll take you twice as much time to complete it. So instead of 3 years of co-training, it would end up being 6 years of co-training. And it also impacts your salary because you would be getting paid salary based on the percentage you're working, and obviously that can have an impact if you're on tier 2 visa, and because on a tier 2 visa you need to be earning minimum of £30,000 a year. Yeah, so be mindful of that. You can always opt in for doing less than full-time training 80%, 60%. There are various percentages which you can work out with your employer. But yeah, this is something a lot of trainees have been opting in to do to have a good work-life balance, or if they're doing dual degrees wherein they're doing another course, another degree, because of that reason as well, they go less than full-time, or if they have obviously needs at home wherein they're looking after children or any other personal family issues going on which is impacting their training. So because of those reasons as well, you can go less than full-time training, which is actually quite a useful thing to have, actually a useful option to have, at least something to consider about, something I've been considering for a while now. I've just not applied for it, but something I've been considering doing. We'll see how I go with that. So the next leave is called parental leave. What parental leave is that you're allowed up to 18 weeks of parental leave per child until they reach 18 years of age. It can be paid in some weeks, but is usually unpaid leave. What you can use it for is basically helping your child settle down in school, or being with the child in the hospital, or basically spending more time with the child. Last but not the least are weekends off. You have your weekends, which is Saturdays and Sundays, off throughout the year unless you're on call. So if you're doing nights or you're doing day on calls, if you're on call, only then you'll be going into the hospital to work. You don't have the entire team working on a weekend. There's a weekend on call team that works. So most of your weekends are off unless you're on call. That is something which is very, very valuable and special to me, because this is something I wouldn't have had if I was doing my training or my PG back in India. I would definitely be in a hospital working on a weekend, and I wouldn't have had that work-life balance. So along with all of these leaves, I really value and look forward to my weekends, because most of the days I'm working 9 to 5 unless I'm called on a long day in the week, and weekends are what I usually off unless I'm on call again, and which is like, once in a few weeks. So it's not that I'm in on every weekend to work in the hospital. Alright, so with this we've reached the end of the video. I hope you found this insightful and this was useful for you, and it gave you a little more understanding to the work-life balance that we have here on all the various different kinds of leaves. If I've missed out on any kind of leave that we are entitled to as a junior doctor in the UK, please drop it down in the comment section below. I probably wasn't aware, or I did not do my research right. But if you're a new subscriber or a new viewer over here and you haven't yet subscribed, then please do subscribe to my channel. I make a lot of videos about my international medical graduate journey, about my training, about life in the UK. So if this is the first video you're watching, there are a lot of videos I've made previously. I'll leave a playlist down below in my description box, or just scroll through all the videos on my channel. And if there's something I haven't discussed, then again, comment down below. I will make a video about it. This was actually someone's idea. Someone had commented in one of my videos that you haven't made a video about leaves. How about do that? And so thank you to this someone who commented many videos ago. So yeah, so if you have any other ideas like this, then do drop it down in the comment section. If you're somebody who is right now undertaking the PLAB journey, basically you're applying for the PLAB exams, or you've appeared for PLAB exams and are currently doing your NHS portfolio, and you're applying for non-training jobs. So I have completely and shamelessly shared my non-training portfolio when I was applying for non-training jobs here in the UK on my NHS jobs profile. I have made completely in-depth video about it on Skillshare. I will leave the link of it down below. It's such a useful video. I have completely shared my entire portfolio, and I've also shared a lot of tips on how you can get a lot of basically job offers when you're applying for your first job here in the UK, because a lot of you guys keep telling me you've been waiting for the right job, you're not getting any job offers, how you should be changing your portfolio, what you should be adding to your portfolio, what are the courses you should be doing once you finish your internship, while you're in internship, what are the things which are useful or beneficial to have on your portfolio. So that is one video I would highly recommend you watch it. I will leave the link down below of Skillshare. If you click on the link and you go on to Skillshare to watch it, you get a 1 month free subscription. So if I were you, I would just watch it, get the free month subscription. But I would definitely recommend you watch that video, because a lot of you guys keep asking questions around that video, and I have completely and shamelessly shared everything with tips and my portfolio. So yeah, definitely go check that out. And I hope you're keeping safe and looking after yourself and your loved ones. And I'm actually amazed I've gotten through this entire video without coughing. So yeah, definitely recovering. Hope you're doing well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Mwah.